Hey everybody, so here's our next round of problems. And what we're going to be doing, as you can see here, we want to write each number in what we call standard notation. That just means just give it to me in just a regular old number. Get it out, all right? Get it out of this scientific notation that it is in right now. Okay, so we want to convert these out of scientific notation into standard notation, or just give me what number that is. It sounds kind of crazy. It's really pretty easy, not too bad. All right, we just have to look at the powers of 10, and we need to look at where our decimal place is, or our decimal point. So on 17, all right, we have this number right here to start off with, 0.9. Now, what I like to do, all right, a good strategy is to say, okay, here's 0.9, and I like to give myself some extra zeros on here. I don't really know how many I'm going to need. That's all determined by one fancy number, right? It's all determined by this exponent right here. So remember, right now I'm 0.9, so here's what we're looking at. And what do we want to do? Well, what number is this normally? So we have 0.9 times 10 to the negative first power. So if something, right, is to the negative power, which way do I move my decimal? So which way would I move your decimal? You are thinking, well, it's got to go to the left or it's got to go to the right. Okay, so well, which one is it? Guess what? That is the same as if we move it this way. Okay, how many jumps? I just want to do whatever number's here. So I just want to jump once. All right, so my new place, all right, for my decimal point just moves over one spot. All right, and now I have 0.9. And we're done. Sound good? All right, so there's that one. Let's check this one out. This is now, let's look, let's do this one over here. Let's do 19. All right, so look over here. So we've got 2 times 10 to the 5th. All right, I know my decimal point is right there. I'm going to give myself, again, I don't know how many zeros I'll need. All right, I'm just going to give myself some zeros. If you're not sure, guys, it's okay. Write them on both sides. Okay. 2 times 10 to the 5th power. This is our problem. We're converting this from scientific notation into just a number. If I have a positive power, right, positive powers mean I will move my decimal point that way. All right, so if it helps you, when we have positive powers, okay, we are moving our decimal point this way. And on the flip side, if I have negative powers, we are moving our decimal point that way. All right? That makes sense because, look, guys, that's what we did in number 1. We moved our decimal point that way. Well, I have a positive power, so I'm going to move my decimal point here. All right? If you get stuck, all right, look back up here. All right? This will help you out. So, how many jumps, how many hops am I going to move it? I'm going to move it 5 because that's the power of 10 that we're raised to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way over here, 5. So there's my new decimal point. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 zeros in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 zeros, right? We could put a comma in there. So 2 times 10 to the 5th power. That's just the same as saying our big number down here, 200,000. So I guarantee you, if you take 2 and you multiply it by 10 to the 5th power, yes, we will indeed get 200,000. Okay? Just like if you were to take on 17, 0.9 times 10 to the negative first power, we will get 0.09. So here's what I want you to do. So go ahead, let's take a quick break. You work on 18 and 20. When you come back, we'll go through those real quick. We'll see how you did. All right, so pause this, try those two. I'm betting number 18 is pretty similar to 17, and 20 looks like it might be somewhat similar to 19. All right, hopefully you did well on those. If you got hung up somewhere, though, let's see if we can't get you lost. So let's take a look here on number 18. We have 2 times 10 to the negative first. All right, I know my decimal point right here is 2 point. All right, I'm going to just throw some zeros in both directions because I'm not really sure which way we're going to move it. How do we know which way to move the decimal point? Well, we look just right here, and this says a -1. And I know that when we have negative powers, we're going to move our decimal point to the left by however many however many jumps we want to, and that jump in this kind is just 1. So my decimal point's here. It's just going to go right over here. So my number goes from being 2 to now it is 0.2. All good. No more. We don't have to do any more work than that. Okay? That was easy enough. Let's take a look at number 20. This says 804 times 10 to the second power. So 804. I know my decimal point is right here. All right, I'm going to give myself a couple zeros on both sides. Again, maybe I'm not sure which way it's going to go. And let's look now at our power of 10. So now we're 10 to the second power. Well, I have a positive power. And of course, when we have a positive power, that says move it to the right. So move this to the right. How many spots or how many spaces? I'm going to move it 2 because that's my number there. So it's here. I'm going to go 1 space, 2 space, right there. All right, so we can rewrite this. 804 was our original number. Now we're gaining 2 zeros. All right, and then our decimal point is right here. And we're not going to write it with that because, you know, that's just silly. So our new number that we now have, that's a comma in there, not a decimal point, guys. I don't mean to confuse you. Our new number now is 80,400. So back to what I said earlier, this right here, if you were to plug this into a calculator, 804 times 10 to the second power, what would our answer for that be? Our answer for that, boom, right there, 80,400. All right, hopefully this is getting a little bit easier. If you want to, I've got a couple examples right here. So go ahead. These ones look a little bit more challenging because now we don't have whole numbers. All right, like we had up here with 2 times 10 to the 5th and 804 times 10 to the second. But we're not going to do anything different. All right, if you're up for a challenge, go ahead and pause it. If not, we'll work through these together and we'll see how we do. Okay, so here we go. So let's check out our first one. So 2.66, all right, times 10 to the 4th. All right, again, I don't know which way we're going to go. I'm going to give myself some zeros here, and we know our decimal point is right there. I know I'm going to end up moving it 4 spaces because that's what it tells me. Do I move them right or left? Well, look back up here. This is our little cheat sheet. We have a positive power. Okay, so positive power, we're going to move to the right. Sounds good. All right, so here we are. So we're back here, and we're going to move this to the right. How many spots to the right? We're going to move it 4. So it's right here. Then it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now my decimal point is going to be right there. So that's 2, 6, 6, and then just 2 zeros. All right, and we could put our comma right here. So this 2.66 times 10 to the 4th, all right, will turn into 26,600. Okay, both of these things mean the same thing. Let's take a look at our next one over here. Now we've got a negative. We have a negative power. We can think back here. When we have negative powers, which way are we moving? Negative powers, again, tell me I'm going to move that decimal point to the left. So let's go ahead and let's do that. All right, 1.5 is my number. I know I'm moving left, so I'm going to give myself some zeros over here. How many spots to the left are we moving it? 2. Okay, 1, 2. So now it's going right there. So my new number is now 0.015. And there we go. So again, if you get stuck, if you get hung up, all right, put this in your notes, gang. If we have a decimal point here and we have positive powers, we move to the right. If we have negative powers, we're moving that decimal point to the left. And that is so key to remember, okay?